Shalom Yasharallah, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone that taught us this truth and our will. And salutation and much love for your Akim pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real quick, which is, not really, it pretty much sums up a lot of the other articles, I have been looking at on this here topic, but I was watching a video, economic video about some things and everything else like that. And they were, the way they kind of worded some things, was kind of like, they're, how do I say, telegraphing the next move, all right, for when they're going to call these things out, all right. When we talk about, what they call the R word, recession, all right. You've been hearing this here talk about recession. Well, when you think back to the 2008 recession and things like that, right? Pretty much, they didn't start claiming that recession until the end of 2008, 2009. All right. But it was really going in 2006, 2007. All right. From 2006 to 2007. I remember it, because of the fact of, graduating around 2006. All right. And hearing about the, the economic things and actually like visually watching how things just tanked, man. All right. Looking back, watching how things just tanked, at that point in time, shit, if you was making $10 an hour, you was good. You know what I'm saying? That was like a good, depending on where you were living. But that was a good income. Now, and then you think, fast forward a little bit of time, $15 an hour. Oh, shit, I'm at the top of the food chain, for like regular Jake. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you had way more people that was making more money than that. But I'm just saying for you regular, everyday Americans, right? But then now $20 an hour seems like fucking minimum wage nowadays, man. All right. You think about sometimes some people can't even live off of $20 an hour. All right. And that's not saying that, they're just overspending and things like that. It's just, hey, the cost of living is going up around you. And we're not talking about places like New York or California and things like that. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how much it would cost to actually live out there because, the cost of living is just so much higher out there. But nevertheless, going back to 2006, 2007. All right. Hearing the talks about, I remember going I was at this place and I was hearing some people conversate about them getting laid off from these factories that they was working at, Honeywell and all these other factories. They was doing massive layoffs. It wasn't just they got fired or something like that. It was like, nah, they closing down the whole plant, everybody getting shut down over here, all these different things. So at that point in time, you started seeing a lot of manufacturing jobs go overseas, a lot of these different things leave out of America and things like that, man. All right, now to couple that with, all right, because if you can remember, all right, the first time that, in my lifetime that I can remember of Americans getting stimulus checks was George W. Bush, right? Yeah, I think, what was that, 2008, I believe that Barack Obama got into office. So like I said, this was, starting beforehand, off the rips of, that situation that happened in September, that happened that happened in September. All right. So, hey, 2001. All right, because at that point they was talking about they had lost $2 trillion. And then you started seeing them, doing certain things, eventually it would come into play where they use the term quantitative easing. All right, you had things like with the pandemic, they was holding back the moratoriums on the rent and all these different things like that, man. The gas taxes, they've been doing a lot of different things to put band-aids on this here economy to stop it from collapsing. All right. But now what we're starting to see, going back to that video, the economic video I was watching, and they were saying, this isn't going to be like 2008 and all these other years of these things going on. It's going to be a little bit different. And looking at, they're saying they're forecasting for the end of the year. But, hey, we know that we're pretty much, by what they were saying, you could pretty much see all this happening right now. All right. Because they were saying, hey, what you have to watch for is the increase of food or the increase of food prices, all right, the increase of lodging or, like housing prices. All right, whether it be, your rent is going up, your mortgage is going up, all these different, the cost of, lodging yourself is going up. All right, gas prices going up. So they named those three things: gas prices, food prices, and also lodging prices. All these things are going up. Which is going to cause the normal American not to be able to afford these things, which is going to spiral their bank accounts out of control. You had people that was a while back that was living from paycheck to paycheck. That was a term that was, where people back in the days was living paycheck to paycheck. As soon as they got paid, you know what I'm saying, they going to go and spend all their money, and then they might have $20 left, or they may have to go pick up an Amscot or something like that, man. All right, to the point to where, they stopped living from paycheck to paycheck to started living off of their savings. All right. Now they were living off their savings from, a little bit before the pandemic and things like that. People were going downhill with those things. And this was during the Obama era. All right. This is where this came the birth of the what they call the gig economy. This gave rise to the Uber Eats, the DoorDash, and Grubhub, all these types of app-based jobs and things like that, man. All right, where people started living like that, getting these little side gigs and everything, renting out their one of their rooms in their house for Airbnb and things like that, so people could get by. All right, till you went to the next phase where people were living off of credit cards, man. All right, people started living off their damn credit cards and things like that, and you have a mix of that now, where people are living off of credit cards, and people are also living off of how do I want to word it, like governmental aid and things like that. These governmental packages, whether it be stimulus checks, whether it be PPP loans, or whether it be any of these other little how do you call it? These other little situations that they have going on. It's like, hey, we're gonna postpone this for a while and hold that back for a while. We're gonna give you this and we're gonna give you that for a while, and people are living off of these things, man. All right, so hey, with all these things that's going on, you have basically an artificial economic, not to say chart when you're looking at things, because people are talking about some of this stuff, and I had conversations with some folks, and it was like, well, how are these folks being able to travel and do all of this and go all these different places, and they ain't got where the fuck they getting all this money from? Like, well, when you understand some of these different things, a lot of these people, the way that they're getting their income, all right, is so for instance, back in the pandemic time, right, with the moratoriums and things like that, people over here spending money, like, yeah, because they ain't paying rent. All right, the biggest expense in their household is now gone. Plus, they got stimulus checks, man. Plus, they're getting paid, to do this and do that, the unemployment and things like that. So it seems like that they got money, but you know how Jake is. Jake ain't got no money. They're gonna go and spend it up anyway, man. All right, right now you got income tax season that's out here now. Are you about to start seeing a lot of paper tags on the road and everything else like that? Everybody got a new car and everything else like that. Give it about 3 or 4 more months, they're gonna be, going right back to Uber and things like that, man. All right, but this is how it is. But as we can see with this here article as well, like I said, those 3 things that they named. All right, this is one of the catalysts for all those 3 things to take place, man. All right, because people are already struggling to pay for rent or housing. We'll just call it lodging, whether they're paying rent or mortgage. All right, they're already struggling with that. All right, you had a lot of people that were downsizing with, especially when the pandemic happened. A lot of people were moving. All right, especially from up north to down south. But that caused the housing prices to go up, skyrocket up, man. Some houses sold for double their actual price, man. All right, and then, hey, that's a bubble that's waiting to pop. All right, not to even mention the automotive bubble, where these cars are getting out of control as far as the prices of those things going, new and used, mainly the used cars, because new cars, they was like, hey, we can't even get them on the lots. All right, but then also, the food prices, man. You go around, you talk about the egg prices and things like that right about now, it's skyrocketing, man. All right, but then also you have to worry about gas prices. They had we got to hold the gas tax and everything else like that. So they had a lot of different things that was holding these things up. But as we read this here article, you'll see about them laying all these people off. So there's going to be more and more jobs. And this is not just Yahoo. There's a lot more companies than just Yahoo. But you know what I'm saying? I just decided to pull this here article up to read off of. All right. So it says U.S. tech giant to lay off a fifth of the workforce. Yahoo will cut 1,600 jobs in its advertising technology division. The IT giant Yahoo is planning to lay off around 20% of its staff, reported on Friday. Now, this isn't the first company to say things like this. We've been seeing things like this with Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, Apple, all these big major companies that so-called been winning, all right, with all the shit that's going on, like with the pandemic, everything shutting down, everybody losing all this here money. Guess what? Amazon was still, hey, they was up and just turning out money, man. Walmart and all these different places and stuff like that. But guess what? They starting to downsize their business, man. Now you can say a lot of this stuff is coming to, what the purpose and the reason of these things are, and I have my thoughts and my theories about, with the artificial intelligence technology to start running a lot of this stuff and automation and things like that. They don't really need the people no more. But hey, that part is irrelevant. But the effect of it is what we're looking at, man. All right, because hey, if that's the case and you go down that path of the AI thing, that's just going to spread to more and more businesses, and it's going to be more and more unemployed people, which means more and more people is not going to be able to afford. You have a chain of events, man. People can't afford the food and things like that. It actually causes the food and stuff to go up because now you got more and more of it on the shelf. All right, and you would think, oh, we got more of it, it should be cheaper. Well, no, man, because you have the people, like when you're dealing with food and stuff, you have growers and farms and stuff like that. If these people can't sell these crops, they have to operate at a loss. So if they had to operate at a loss, they if they had to burn half their crops, losing half their crops and things like that, or they're not selling half their crops or whatever, they wind up raising the price on the other half just to break even because they got to stay in business for the next season and things like that, man. All right, so all this is so-called running it up as far as the recession goes. So it says the cuts concern Yahoo's ad tech division and will affect more than half of the department, CEO Jim Lanzone confirmed to Axios. He claimed that the decision was tremendously beneficial for profitability and was not motivated by financial concerns. Excuse me. And so, hey, like I said, they're not necessarily telling you exactly what's going on, but hey, all these companies, it's not just one company that they just came up on a big lick or something like that. It's a lot of companies that's doing this, man. So, hey, it wouldn't, you have that thing, what is it, Chat GPT or whatever it is, the little AI stuff that can do all this here work for you and everything else like that, man. All right, so hey, it's making room. You even have a lot of these different businesses where you have, like, I believe it was Bank of America and stuff like that, where it was like humanless banks. You walk in and everything is just like almost like you go into an ATM on the inside, man. But it's like a digital screen, and you talking to some people that's doing all these different things, and one bank teller can operate multiple different portals at a time instead of just one window at being in a bank physically dealing with one customer. Hey man, because you have all these different automated systems and things like that. Like hell, I know for me, when I go and I pay my phone bill, I call it in on the phone or either use the app. You can use the app and you just pay it right then and there. But if you were to call it in, you call up and they ask you, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And there's these voice prompts and stuff. They're like, hey, I want to pay a bill. How much do you want to pay? And then you just tell them how much you want to pay. And it's not an actual human being. And majority of the stuff that you want to do, you got these automated systems. But at the end all be all, you can't just go through operator. But think about that, man. For the majority of the people that's calling through, they don't need to necessarily talk to a person. Every once in a while, you may get a person on the phone. So it's like, well, you know what I'm saying? One person can really man this here whole office, all right? Because, out of the 1,000 phone calls, they may have to answer the phone maybe 100 times throughout the day. Out of 1,000, 900 of them is, you know what I'm saying? So that's just cutting the work of 9 other employees, right? So it says the cuts... we didn't read that. It says the moves are meant to simplify and strengthen the good parts of the business while sunsetting the rest, Lanzone added. Yahoo was once a household name when it came to search engines and was considered one of the pioneers of the early internet era. However, the company now provides various online services such as email and news. Now, again, going into that, that could be just tailor-made to Yahoo, and people can say, oh, it's just Yahoo. Yahoo's not that big of a company because of Google and everything else like this, but doesn't, how do I say, doesn't negate these other companies that's doing the same thing. In fact, let me just jump down and read this part. It says early 2023 has already seen mass redundancies at multiple tech firms. That includes Yahoo's rival Google, right? So like I said, you could say, hey, well, Yahoo is getting smaller because there's no need for them because they got Google now, all right? Well, Google's doing the same thing, which cut 12,000 jobs. Facebook parent company Meta is laying off 11,000 people, which is around 13% of its total staff. Elsewhere, big tech juggernaut Microsoft has announced termination of 10,000 positions. So, hey, this is a lot of people, man. All right, well, 10, 20, 30, this is like 30, 40,000 people that's being let off. All right, so, hey, man, this is, that's 1,600, not 1,000 or 10,000. But nevertheless, hey, man, like I said, this is just a small list of these things that's going around, man. All right, and like I said, this has an effect on the economy, man. These people are now losing their jobs. That means this many, you can just take these numbers right here, 11,000 people just from one of these places, Meta, Facebook, 11,000 less people that's going to be going out and spending extra money on going out to eat now. That's 11,000 people that's buying, what do you call it, Applebee's and things like that, shopping at these other stores and things like that. So it's going to have a downturn down the block to a lot of these other businesses, all right? So let's get into some scriptures here, just dealing with these here things at hand, all right? This Ecclesiastes 12:1, it says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasures in them. All right, now, hey, when you come into this here time that we're coming into, it's like a repeat cycle, all right, because we've seen this, these next couple of verses and things I'm about to read and everything, we've seen this really take off. This has happened before, like I said, since 2006. A lot of the majority of the manufacturing jobs left America, man. All right, and then that's, like I said, we went through the gig-like economy. All right, we went through all these different things, back in, your parents, if you were my age, back in your parents' days and everything else like that, it was always full of warehouse jobs and all these manufacturing jobs and everything else like that. That was the thing to do. all right, back in the early or mid 90s and things like that. Hey, man, regular Jake, right? Jake, even though Jake was not making nowhere near as much money as Esau, Jake could work one damn job, man. All right, work one job, 40 to 60 hours a week, all right, and be living pretty comfortably, man. All right, pretty decent. All right. You didn't have to have both so-called, both parents working at the same time, working all these crazy hours to try to make ends meet and everything else like that, man. Hey, man, it was a little bit better off back then, man. All right, but now, like I said, you think about, oh, well, we're making more money now than ever before. Like, well, actually, your money is being, how do I say, is being devalued more now than ever before, man. All right, because I think about. My grandmother told me she never made in her life working she owns her own businesses now, doing little side, not say side things, but she owns her own business now. But back in the days when she was working for somebody else, she said the most money she ever made on a paycheck was like $8 and some change an hour, man. She never made more than $10 an hour. Let's put it that way. But it was like $8.75 or $8.25 an hour. It was the most money she's ever been paid at a job in her life. And I'm like, damn, I didn't out the gate been making more money than that since I was, in the workforce, right? But then guess what? My grandmother was able to buy her own land, her own house, raise 4 or 5 kids, grandkids and everything else like that, buy cars and everything else like that. She was able to do all that off $8 and some change an hour, right? Whereas when I'm coming up, man, we could, $8 an hour ain't really doing shit for you. Like I said, you thought you was doing it big back then, 2006, 2007, all right, making $10 an hour, man. All right. But then now, you know what I'm saying? You get a job, 2010, something like that, making $15 an hour. You think you straight. Now, fast forward to now, $20. I was listening to them talking about, hey, we might have to make $20 an hour, the new minimum wage. All right. Not to say the minimum wage, but, pretty much, the entry level of what they're hiring at, man. Because like you look at a lot of jobs nowadays, entry level jobs, what are they starting you out at $15 an hour, $20 an hour and things like that, man. But that's not really nothing to be like, ooh, all over about, man. You go to your regular ass job, like, yeah, we'll pay you $20 an hour. It's no big deal or nothing else like that. But hey, you still broke, man. You still living paycheck to paycheck, man. All right, because the price of food, gas, and everything else is going up around you, man. So hey, we're coming back into these points in times where it's not like, well, I'm making a bank over here. I got all this here. Nah, man. People are getting these jobs with these so-called decent pays and still aren't satisfied, man. You got a job pay you $20 an hour. You still got to go do Uber and Lyft on the side, man. All right, that's crazy, man. All right, I used to know, well, I still know the brother, but, I know a brother that was making pretty decent money being a manager, but still driving Uber and Lyft on the side, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, man, what kind of shit is this going on, man? All right. But it says, remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasures in them. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, or the clouds not return after the rain. And the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves. All right, and hey, going into, like I said, y'all always speak about this when reading this, about Jake don't know how to, test the atmosphere, the economic atmosphere of what's really going on out there, man. Jake be thinking, oh, we got a stimulus check, we balling out here. Like, bro, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Oh, we got PPP loans and we got all this money. Like, bro, it's not good when the government have to give you money. That's a bad sign of economics, meaning y'all, they are looking at a default here with these businesses because y'all ain't got enough money to spend to put back into these businesses to keep these businesses turning. They got to give you some money, man. All right. So, hey, this is, bad signs for these things. But then when you have these Edomites out here, the Edomites are all in depression over these things, man, because they see the economic downturn. Listen to some of these farmers, man. We got to shut down our farms. We got to do this and we got to do that. All the meanwhile, while Jake over there laughing at them, fuck y'all and y'all farms and everything, you don't realize, well, if they got to shut down their farms, it's putting a burden on the food supply. So now when you go into the grocery store and you're trying to figure out why egg prices are sky high, food prices sky high, and everything else like that, think about the dude that you was just laughing at that had to close down his farm, and he was depressed about things that's going on like that, man. All right? The same with, like I said, where, you have all these people getting laid off from these jobs and things like that. You have less people spending in the economy, man. All right, when you have less people spending in the economy, people have to make up. Think about this. Why do you think that the housing prices started skyrocketing up after the pandemic so much, man? What did the pandemic have to do with that? People are moving around and stuff like that. But think about it. You had the moratoriums where the people weren't paying rent. All right, they didn't have to pay rent and everything else like that. So now the home owners, all right, before they get behind on their mortgages and let the mortgage companies collapse on them, all right, and everything else like that, what did they wind up having to do? Well, shit, we weren't getting paid for the last 6 to 8 months. We need to double our rent, all right, so we can make up for that loss, all right? And so now the rent prices is going up, all right, which is called causing the people that's paying for that rent have to pay double and triple just for lodging. So hey, your $20 an hour that you're making is now turned to nothing because hey, your housing prices just doubled up on your ass, man. All right, the food prices just doubled up on your ass, man. All right. So it says, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and they that look out the windows be darkened. All right. So the grinders cease because they are few. All right. And then let me just read the next verse. It says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of grinding is low. So, hey, this is all going into what? Economic downturns because of what? Business closures and things like that, or, downsizing in these businesses, man. All right. And like I said, I don't really know exactly, I hadn't went that far into what's going on with all these businesses. But one of the things that I could think of is what? The introduction of AI into a lot of these places, man. All right. And looking at some of these other, videos about, different stores and technology that they have going on, like the new McDonald's that they got going on where there's really nobody in there. Or maybe you have a staff of 3 people working the whole damn McDonald's, and they pretty much is basically mechanics, all right, working on the damn machines when the machines go down. All right, everything else is pretty much automated, man. All right, you have these banks where you just walk in and there's really nobody in there, man. And if you do get to talk to a person on the damn screen, that person ain't even in there. They somewhere else at a remote location looking over 4 or 5 different branches, man. All right. So, hey, they need less and less amount of people to work into these different positions. So guess what? The grinding is starting to cease in these here areas, man. All right. It says, verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the street when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. All right. And so, hey, going back into, the point there being, with this grinding ceasing, all right, this economic downturn based off of what? Not to say job shortages, but, the closure of a lot of these positions. All right. So let's go from there to, I wanted to grab this real quick, but I didn't went kind of too far or too long, but we'll touch on this real quick. This is Isaiah 24 and 7. The new wine mourneth, the vine languish, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, and the joy of harp ceaseth. And going into this, going as far back as 2020, all right, what was it, 2019, they had that song Living My Best Life. Everybody was out turning up, all the parties and everything else like that. Then what happened? You had the pandemic happen, man. People were afraid to go outside, people were afraid to go anywhere, people were losing their jobs and things like that. Then that cloud kind of went away. But then guess what? Now you had the blame of what? The Russia-Ukraine war. So now, hey, people can't afford stuff. Gas prices going all up. They had the little easing of those things. But then now what do you see coming over the horizon, man? A lot of layoffs. So what do you have forecast for this here future that's coming up, man? They're already talking about what they call the R word. All right. They're already talking about recession coming around the corner and everything else like that. And guess what? Jake is just out here living it up. But, if you ask me about this, it's just me currently thinking, they're going to let this thing, keep going on as it is right about now until they take up all, your income tax money, because they know, hey, man, we ain't gonna have no recession and call it out there like that right before Christmas. Then these motherfuckers ain't gonna spend their money up on Christmas, right? Then we're not gonna say it right around the beginning of the year when income tax come out, because we want them people to go get them income tax checks and go blow it out at the club, popping bottles and buying Jordans and shit like that. Then once all that cooled down, then we'll take the rest of the money from their ass at that point in time, man. So, hey, man, just because you don't see it right here, right now in your face, man, look at some of these economic, going back to the strong men shall bow themselves. Go back and look at some of these economic channels when they talk about a lot of the economic downturns and all these different things that's going on and everything else like that, man. You do have a lot of talk about, the war and everything else like that. But then you also have a lot of talk about the economy that's going down, man. So putting all these things into, its order, all right, because we know that all these roads lead to what? The MOTB. All right, the default of the American dollar, bringing us over to what? The CBDCs. All right, so we know that this is all going towards, Esau's plan for his new world order, man. But what does the scripture say about that? When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall rain it upon him, man. All right, talking about those nuclear weapons. So, and we see hand in hand, you got 2 cars coming from, or 2 trains coming from either side of the tracks, speeding towards this impact zone where they're going to collide at, man. And that's what we're waiting on right about now, man. All right, the economic collapse to bring forth what? The MOTB. All right. And then also World War III to pop off to bring forth the missiles, man. All right. It says, verse 9, they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. All right. And so, hey, you have that point that's going out right about now. Again, you have a little boost that's going on right about now with the income tax season that's going on. So yeah, you do have Jake. You know, you can't check the economic temperature by looking at Jake, because again, Jake be dumb as hell. We ain't even really got shit. So Jake be turning up with nothing anyway, man. But when you look at these damn Edomites and stuff like that, the stuff that they doing, because they know more about the economy. But nah, bro, I can't really spend no extra money right now. I need to hold this for, you know, what's coming down the pipeline, man. You know, I was listening to somebody, and this was actually a Jake woman that was speaking about these things, where she was saying, you know, and speaking on the economic stuff, she's like, look, take your money now while you still got it and everything is on the up and ups, you know, comparably to where we're going, and buy all the things that you need, not the things that you want, the things that you need, and buy double of it, your medicines, your, you know, your household products, your food, your groceries, and all these different things, because soon, hey, the price is about to start going up. You're not going to be able to afford these things. So go ahead and buy it now while it's cheap. All right. You know, it's just like, they say in the stock market and things like that, when the stock market is down and crashing, that's when you buy up, you double up on those things, man. Don't buy it while it's on the up and ups and everything is looking good. Nah, buy it in at the lows when things are all at the bottom. All right. Continuing on, it says, the city of confusion is broken down and every house is shut up that no man may come in. There's a crying for wine in the streets, and all joy is darkened, and the mirth of the land is gone. Yeah, people are looking for answers out here, man. All right, but there's no more good news out here. It's only bad news coming out around the corner, man. So what? It's leaving the mirth of the land to be gone. Is that sentiment? You know, when it comes to economics, you know, a year or two ago, everybody was worried about the sicknesses and everything else like that. Now everybody's focus is on economic woes and how much further they can keep going. Yeah, I see this is going up. I don't know how about that. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. The price of this, the price of that's going up. I don't know what we're gonna do out here, man. All right. It says the city is left desolate. The city is left desolation, and the gates is smitten with destruction. All right, and so ultimately, you know, this is bringing us down to that crippling point to where, hey, you know, the only way to stop this is, like I said, to introduce that their chip. All right. In fact, let's just go. We'll end with that. I was going to read another precept somewhere else, but you know, we can roughly. Well, we can. Matter of fact, we'll just grab them both. All right. It's Revelation 3:10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So as this point in time is coming, you know, everybody's out here living a good life, you know, and people, you start to see how, you know, especially with the OnlyFans situation that popped off, man. And I'm starting to look at this as an experiment of the minds of the people, you know, and just, you know, dealing with the women and stuff like that. But, you know, what are you willing to do for some money? What was that commercial? What would you do for a Klondike bar, right? You know, these people nowadays, what would you do for a little bit of money? What would you do for a little bit of happiness at a time of, you know, of mirth, or not mirth, but a time of, you know, a downturn in the economy. All right. You've seen what, you know, OnlyFans, you know, they've been selling adult content forever. All right. That's like one of the oldest professions. But why did OnlyFans take off? OnlyFans took off because, hey, there was a economic downturns. All right, these women could get on the internet and start, you know, selling their, you know, these videos and pictures and things like that. Majority of people was at home anyway. They was locked down in the homes, couldn't see folks. Everybody was on the internet and everything else like that. So now they went to their so-called virtual girlfriends and things like that and was able to start making this their money. A lot of these women, instead of trying to thug it out and go drive Uber and do all these different things, because, hey, they wasn't really built for that anyway. All right, what did they do? They went to the internet and started taking off their clothes and everything else like that, man. So what do you think that these people are going to do when it comes to a real economic downturn, man? All right, these women that wind up selling their morals and everything down the river to go and make an extra $100, $200 and everything else like that. I'll never forget, they did it wasn't a documentary. It was like this show or whatever. They had this girl on. Well, it wasn't even a show. It was in the goddamn news. The little Arab girl was all crying her eyes out because she went and started doing porn and everything else like that. And then all of a sudden, her people pretty much disowned her and everything else like that, man. All right, she said she wound up doing this porn and became like a really big porn star and everything else like that, all to make $13,000. Like $13,000, you know what I'm saying? That's like $1,000 a damn month that you done made. You know, let's just say 12,000 is $1,000 a month. You know, 12 months. That's what, $250 a week you was making. You know, you can make more than that at McDonald's, right? But then now she's all crying because her life is all tarnished. Everybody know who she is. She can't have a regular relationship in life, and all crying all over the news and everything else like that for that amount of money. So think about what these people are about to start doing when they can't eat, feed their children, can't do any of these things, man. So, hey, this is going to be, you know, coming to that point of the hour of temptation, man. All right, hey, look, you can get evicted, you know, or you about to be evicted, about to be living out on the streets, can't get a job, can't do this, can't do that. Hey, we can solve all this. Just go ahead and take this here chip, man. Go ahead and take this and everything else like that. So as we can see all this atmosphere that's growing up around us, preparing us for this here time, bringing us into the time of the hour of temptation. We see what's going on, man. All right, let me just go ahead and grab this. We'll close out because this is also no. This is also what goes back into as we were reading about the city of confusion is broken down and mirth is gone out of the city and everything else like that, man. And think about what the atmosphere is about to be around here, man. All right, with all these people that's on a an economic downturn, man. All right, when you don't have no resources and things like that, people seem to lose it, man. All right, that's why you have the conditions of the people that be living in the hoods and the projects, man. There's more anger, strife, violence, and everything. Everybody living on edge out there because they trying to figure out how they gonna make their next little dollar, man. All right, to survive. They're in survival mode. You go out to these Edomite neighborhoods and stuff like that, man. These people just living it up. They got so much money in abundance. They leaving their garage doors open with Ferraris in there, the garage with the keys. All they're not worried about none of that stuff because they got an over an abundance of money, man. They just living it up, man. Traveling and everything else like that. So just imagine when you don't have these resources, man. People become living on edge. All right, 2 Ezra 15 and 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power." And it says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." All right, and so, hey, going, into these different cities and things like that. When you start having these economic downturns and everything else like that, people can't afford to live out there, man. All right, look at California. All right, the cost of living is so sky high over there, and with the different laws that they're pushing over there, crime up to $900 is not really, they're not really coming out there for no crime under $900, man. So you have all these people with the smash and grabs and things like that. But it's basically Jake out there smashing and grabbing to go flip some shit, stealing makeup, stealing alcohol and shit like that. Wait till they start stealing food, man. All right, wait till they, in some places they even got the little metal detectors and things like that over in the alarms over top of the meats. All right. But it says, verse 19, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." So, hey, when there's no more food or you can't afford food or the cost of food is going up, man, people start doing some shady shit to one another just for, not to say for the food, but, hey, just for the dollar to be able to go get the food, man. All right, because the dollar is only, it's, the only real power it has is when it comes to spending it, man. All right. If a person is like, look, if I'm going to sit here and take some money from you or take the food from you, it's like, well, if I take the money from you, then I got to go out and go buy the food. If there's a shortage of food, I'd rather just go ahead and get the food right here and there instead of fuck the money. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to take the chance of taking your money and going to the store and go buy some food. Let's put it to you in this way. Back when the pandemic started, man, what was more valuable? Was it the money that was more valuable or the toilet paper that was more valuable? When you're trying to buy toilet paper. All right, like, well, I'd rather just pick up the toilet paper than the money because if I get the money and I go in the store, I might not be able to find toilet paper. So what the fuck good, me wipe my ass with the money. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just get the toilet paper, fuck the money at that point in time, man. All right, so, hey, this is where we're going to start coming into, man. All right, you're going to have people start to clash with one another. Like scripture say, Egyptian against Egyptian, brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. All right, hey, man, the spirit of Babylon the Great is about to start turning on itself, which is already there. All right, these people are about to start losing everything, man. But, hey, more and more this economic downturn is going to only bring out what? How do I say, a slippery slope or a fast fall towards what? The MOTB, the hour of temptation. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakudash, double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and I rule well. And citation, much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.